without a whole lot of effort. Because then it practically makes itself. So we're going to make a pair of tongs similar to this in a similar style, but with a different approach and a different material. This one has been made out of rebar. We're going to make this one, so it's slightly different, and we're going to make it out of flat stock, mild steel. I need some material for the jaw, and I know that it's going to hold 1/2 inch. So I don't need a whole lot of material. There's no point for me to take that amount of material. That is way too much. I don't want that much. It's only going to be a square bit. It doesn't have to be much more. So say we take about this much, we take about the square, and I should have said this by the way, but anyway, if we measure this, this is 3/8, 10 mil by 3/4, 20 mil. 20 millimeters. So we take a cube for that. Maybe a little more if you want to give it a little bit extra. For 1/2 inch, this should really suffice. It's going to be plenty big. Then we need something for the arc, which is going to be drawn out. Say, if I take about this much, that should be enough. And it happens to be 50. And then we need a little bit of material for the hinge area. I'm going to take this, that should be enough. And that is 18 centimeters. So we're looking at, say 7 1/8. Yeah, 7 1/8. About one length. 20 mil, 3/4 of an inch. We got 2 inches here, 50 mil. We got 1 1/4 inch, 30 mil. And we got about 7 1/8, 18 centimeters for this total length. And we scribe it with the scriber we made. And we take the same amount. How much is that in total? And it happens to be exactly 28 centimeters. 28 centimeters. So you're looking at about 11 inches total. 11 inches. So we can take about that here as well. Mark that. What I got here is a center punch. And the particular thing about the center punch is that I've ground it into a sort of square point. I don't really care if it is perfectly square, that the 4 sides of it makes a square, but at least I got something that is not round. That sort of square is going to stand out a lot more than if it were round, and that's a trick that I picked up from other smiths that I've seen use a square point, and when you put it in the fire, it stands out a lot more. A lot of this stuff I can do by hand. I can use the edge of my hammer, the edge of my anvil to isolate material and push like that. I can hit fairly precise with that. You have to have that precision, and you know, if you mess it up, you got to start it over. There's a nice tool for that. Now what this is like a third hand. It's made by Angele Maschinebau in Germany. It's a guillotine tool. In an operation like this, you need a third hand, or even a fourth hand would be very nice to have. But what this thing does for you is it holds the tool, keeps everything in place, so you can hit on top of it and hold your stock. I'm going to use it right now to isolate some material for that bit of the jaw. Select about the same amount of material. That's about that much. Take off the corners. Okay, then I'm going to bring it to here and forge those corners down and turn it into a taper. into the vise. Now go below your nib, like that, preferably a bit up higher, like so. And then we twist it a 1/4 turn. And then slightly more, because it's going to want to twist back. So I can simply keep it in flat, use the flat side of my hammer, bring that down. Now the top. Now the diagonals. Now if you could keep your mouth shut, then it will be just our little dirty secret that there is a twist in this jaw. This is whereabouts the rivet hole is going to be, and then everything underneath here is going to be a rein. So I can just flip it over right now. Take a pair of bolt tongs like this, hold it like here, and draw out the rein. So these then are the blanks, they're about the same length, and I would highly recommend you to put effort in smoothing up those reins, because it really pays off. It is so much nicer to work with a tool that isn't really rubbing in your hands, it doesn't have any hot spots, weird stuff. We can then move on to the next step, and that is trying to turn this into a functional pair of tongs. So we're gonna work on the jaws, we're gonna work on the bend, and once we got that done, we can start working on the rivet hole and setting everything up. Okay, turn it into a little triangle. Put it in there, aim for about the middle. If you do happen to run into some unevenness like this, I wouldn't bother trying forging that back. Just take your rasp, your various rasp, your angle grinder, linear shear, whatever you got, and just simply square it off and just leave it be. Using the same cross peen, I'm going to use that to bend that nip over the edge. Now it's bent, it's nice and round, and I can upset it. Bends back, push it back. Let's have a look, what would be a nice measurement for this? So putting it against that corner there on the inside. Let's see, where do I have enough material? Go for 6.5, so we're about 2.5 inches. Just put a little center dot in there. And I'm gonna go for that 65, 2.5, actually slightly more than 2.5, but say 2.5. Look for the mark, I can see it there, so I'm right there with the jaw, right at the very end. You can start bending it. That's good for the beginning for now, I can take another heat. Bending over the horn is one way, but if you got a bending fork, you can also do a whole lot very easily without a whole lot of effort, because then it practically makes itself. Got a little bit of a kink sorting out there, but nearly there, eh? You undoubtedly want to know the size of this. Of course, it's the best material in the world, rebar. It's made out of 5/8, so about 16 mil rebar. The top portion here is about 1 inch, and all the way at the bottom is more like 3/4, so about 25 mil and about 20 mil. And the length, I say about 8 centimeters or so. About 3 inches. It's not over yet. What I gotta do right now is I gotta take it out, take it to the horn, and smooth up that bend so it looks a lot prettier. For the style, I'm going to pull out this corner. Okay, now that I can put them on top of each other, which is going to be like this, it looks like it can accept 1/2 inch without the legs standing open too far, or without the reins I should say. Just right around there, just in the middle at 20 mil from the corner. So to punch the hole, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use an oval punch. I could use a round punch, but with an oval punch I can make sure that I got more material around the eye, making it stronger. So I'm going to use that, punch the eye, then take a small drift, drift it open, take a larger drift, finish drifting. Then there's a bullseye. The bullseye doesn't always mean that's the middle, but usually it quite is. Okay, small drift first, put that one in. Then put in the larger one. And simply repeat pass. Now this next part I'm sure you guys will find absolutely riveting. Okay, we can see it's got a little bit of a lean in it. And if I do it right, see I can hold it here and actually pull it back. So just like this, they don't have to be extremely hot. There we go. And I can tighten it up again. Tighten it up again and loosen it up. Okay, now it's time to push the jaws in line because it's not going to hold on to stock in this state. Okay, here's a bit of 1/2 inch. It actually barely grabs it, but that's okay. I'm going to gently put it in there. I can see one of the jaws has to come back a little bit. Make sure you grab the correct end, it's not too hot. And then I can put it in there and squeeze it. know, in a practical sense, you could just leave it as is. You don't have to change much to it anymore. I'm gonna take it to the vise and do some rasping to it. It's just to make it more flush. I just think it looks nicer if they are. Though for the function, you really do not have to do that. Should you want to use a tong clip, then you can very simply bend the ends out. Alright, so here we got the variation to this pair of tongs. This one is a bit more square here, if you will. Didn't do that by these, I left them a bit more round. Seems to fit a bit better. But it neatly fits the 1/2 inch. It will undoubtedly grab other stock sizes as well. Here we go, this is a bit of 5/8 round, 16 mil round. It is slightly loose, but it will hold on to it no problem. It's a bit further apart. This is about 3/4 inch, so about 20 mil. If you want to use that, then it will hold on to it as well, no problem. If you can invest the time, please do invest the time in smoothing up these reins. It makes using them a lot better than when they're rough. Invest the time, it's worth it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and seeing me forge this pair of bull tongs, and I'll catch you on the next one.